right, let's get started. First of all, what I did to find this YouTube template, and I will also put the link in here as well for you, but I went to the YouTube help, which is on the left hand side here if you go to YouTube, and then I just typed in channel art size, and if you scroll down, it'll give you the image size and file guidelines. This will tell us what size to make our Photoshop template, and it actually includes a Photoshop template right in here. So I just click on the channel art templates, click on that one more time, and then it gives you an automatic download of the Photoshop file. So you just want to save that to your computer. And then next I'm going to go over sourcing your images. If you're ever in need of a good place to find free stock photos, you can go to unsplash.com, and they have a lot of really good options. And I just kind of did a mock-up of like a cake shop. So I don't know, I typed in cupcake, and this just kind of shows you what photos are available. Just make sure that you read the licensing requirements on these when you download them. Most of the time credit isn't required, but you can give credit to the photographer. So I just scrolled down, I found this photo that I really liked, and I just clicked it and downloaded it. So we're going to go into Photoshop. Okay, here I have the template from YouTube. So this is actually giving you a way to set it up so it's going to look good on mobile, on desktop, and on the TV. So obviously the TV is the biggest version, but we have a really small area to work with here for our desktop area. So that's why we want to get everything within that box. Over here on the right hand side is our layers. And so you can see this bottom layer is where your art will go. And then you click on this spec layer. So this is where, and I'm going to click the drop down arrow to open it up. This you can turn off and on. This is just the text it has in there for the guidelines, but it gives it all the pixel dimensions in height and width. So we're just going to use this as a guideline. You don't really need to, do anything with it at the moment. Just leave it there. I'm going to click back on that first layer. Over here to the left, I had kind of done a mock-up. I'm going to start with a photo, and I am going to place that in. So I'm just going to do File, Place, Embedded, because we want this embedded in our template. I'm going to grab it from my desk. Okay, I found my cake photo. And we are almost there. Okay, so now you can see this, what's called like a bounding box around this photo. I'm going to enlarge this. Actually, I want this cake to fit within our middle desktop area here. So I'm just going to kind of align this and just get a portion of that cake in there. I'm good with that. And the rest of it, I'm going to show you how to do a layer mask around this just to blend this in. But I think I'm going to move this over right here, and you can see like this desktop area, we want this cake within this bar in the middle, and I'm going to do that right there. I think that'll look good. So I'm just going to hit my move tool up here on the left, and it's going to ask me if I want to place the file, and I'm going to hit place. So now this is in place. Okay. And so what I'm going to do next is I kind of want a fun like color block to kind of break up the white, and I'm going to show you how to do that as soon as this is finished. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is going to make a new layer, and I'm going to create my shape with the pen tool, which is really easy to use just to make custom shapes and drawing with the pen tool. So I'm going to click on this over in my palette over here, and if you hover over any of these, it'll give you a description of what they are and what they do. So I'm going to click on the pen tool, I'm gonna just do kind of like a cool diagonal like pattern or shape. So I'm gonna click here once, and then right now I'm not clicking or dragging, I'm just going down at an angle. And I'm gonna click right here. So this kind of makes a diagonal line. And then just to make this a shape, I'm gonna bring my pen tool over here to the outside of the box. I'm gonna hit the shift key to make that a straight line. Shift and click, shift and click. So when you see that circle, that was when I hovered over this. That means it's closing the shape. So it's an actual closed shape now that you can fill in. I'm gonna click over on the move tool here. Okay, so I have my shape, I have my new layer, and what I wanna do is go to this paths area over here. I'm gonna click paths. I'm gonna click on the work path, the shape that I just created. And at the bottom here, you can see this dotted line. If you hover over that, it says load path as a selection. So this is what I wanna do because I wanna fill in this path with a color. So I'm gonna click that. So we have this shape selected. So now I'm gonna go back to the layers palette and still be on that layer that I created. And I'm going to choose edit, fill, and I want to fill it with a color. So it's already on color, which is good. This brings up a color picker for me, and with the eyedropper tool, if you hover over any color on your photo, it'll choose that color for you and you can use it. So I kind of want this mint green. Kind of liking that. So it'll show you the new color that you just chose. So I'm gonna hit OK and OK. Awesome. So now it filled it with that cool mint green color, and it's gonna match my pedestal for the cake. All right, so I'm gonna deselect this now because I don't need to do anything with that. So I'm gonna hit Command D and that will deselect it. Next, what I wanna do is I'm gonna duplicate this shape because I'm gonna do one layer that's a little bit lighter color than this one, just for a little variation. So what I'm gonna do to duplicate it quickly is just hit the Option key. And when you hit the Option key, you see these two arrows pop up. Then you can just click and drag. And then as soon as it makes you a copy of it, which it's hard to see because they're the same color, but I can just see that it's moved over now, I'm gonna let go of my mouse and then let go of the Option key. And I wanna pull this layer behind the first one I created. So I just selected that and dragged it. I'll show you again. I select that new layer and then I'm just grabbing it with my mouse, pulling it down. And then from there, I just wanna make it a lighter opacity so it's more transparent. And I think I like it right there. And I'm noticing the edge of this on the bottom isn't quite touching for some reason. There we go. So I just use my arrow keys to kind of push that down. Okay, I'm liking this so far. I'm gonna go down to my background layer. I'm gonna make that white just because I feel like it's easier. Whoops. So I'm gonna click on the layer, hit Effects, click Color Overlay, and it's already set to white, but you would just choose that, choose what color you want it to be. I'm gonna hit OK. So now that background layer is white, and I may be changing that actually because I want this background white to match the white in the photo, because what I'm going to do is do a layer mask to kind of mask out these rough edges to smooth this out. So let me go back into Color Overlay, and I'm going to click on this color right here. It's bringing up that color picker again. And so this time I'm going to just eyedrop tool the background of the photo, and it's giving me that new kind of off-white color. So that's the one I want, and I'm going to just hit OK and OK. And so now the background of the cake is blending into the background of the photo, which is what I wanted. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of all these weird edges around this cake photo now. So I'm gonna go back to the cake layer, and I'm gonna make what's called a layer mask. So that's the button right down here, add a layer mask. And it'll make this white box that's linked to the original photo. So you're not editing the actual photo, it's more of non-destructive editing, so you are creating this layer mask around it that's going to delete the information that you don't want from it without harming the original photo, which is what you want to do. And even if you want to duplicate your original photo too, just to make sure nothing happens to it, that's usually a good idea as well. But I'm clicking right on the layer mask here now. I'm going to hit the B button for my brush, and I already have it set to where I want it here, but there is a drop down arrow here for brushes where you can choose your different brushes, or you can go to your window and bring up your brushes palette and do it that way. And then your brush settings also, you can adjust right there. But I already have this kind of set to a, I'm gonna close that out, to a softer brush, which is what I want. And then over here, you gotta make sure that the colors are, the foreground color is set to black, and then this is, the background color is set to white. So this is gonna make sure that when you are erasing some of this around it, it's gonna blend in seamlessly, and you'll know if it's opposite, it's not gonna work. So, but I'm gonna use the bracket keys just to enlarge my brush a little bit, and I'm gonna start doing this softening around this photo. I kind of like that in there, so I'm just gonna leave it. I use the bracket keys kind of on the fly just to resize as I go here, my brush, because sometimes you need a little different size. Okay, I'm liking that. This is blending in so good, it's hard for me to see where it stops and ends for this white background here. But I'm just gonna kind of do that and see. I am liking that, how that looks. And if you go down here to your thumbnail on your cake photo, you can kind of see where you did mask out part of that photo. It'll show you right on that thumbnail. So that is kind of helpful too, to see where you're at. And if you do make a mistake, you know, don't worry, just hit the unlink button so it's not linked to the photo anymore, and then click on your selection here and then delete it with a trash can. Then you can start over on your photo, and if you didn't get it how you wanted to, or you can do, you know, Command Z to undo if you made just, you know, one mistake. Okay, so I'm liking how this looks so far. I am going to, I'm gonna save this, and I'm just gonna, just because we've been working on it here, I'm just gonna put cake cover art. And we're saving this original file as a .psd or Photoshop file. You wanna do that so it saves as your template, and you can reuse that going forward. Let's see. Okay, now what I did is, what a good thing to have here obviously is your text and logo. And for the desktop area, you really have to gonna keep that, for the desktop and mobile version, it's really good to keep it within this box here. Otherwise, I think we have a hard time seeing it on YouTube. So I'm just gonna pull one that I already created for this, and I just did like a simple text logo. I'm just gonna pull this over. Whoops, that's my photo. Here's my logo. Okay, so if you, anytime you have another document where you want to add something to the one you're working on currently, you select that layer, you right click, depending upon your computer here, and then duplicate this group. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go to the new cake cover art file that I have set up here. Okay, and we can't see it now because it's stuck behind this shape. So I'm going to just take this, grab this logo, and just pull it, drag it up with my mouse. And now I'm seeing it on here, which is what I want. Seeing as how small this is, I'm not sure if I'm going to have room for the tagline, but I am going to try to see what I can do. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to use my arrow key to just kind of put that down a little ways. I'm going to go back to my original file here, and I'm going to take the tagline, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to duplicate the group. I'm going to pull that over to the new one I'm working on, the new file, hit OK, click back over to that. Okay, so I have this tagline, and I'm thinking this might fit, because I kind of want to get that in there. Maybe I'll just make that a little bit smaller. So in order to shrink something down, you can either, you know, if you are within your tagline here, you can arrow down, click on your text, and then you want to click on the text tool or the type tool, and then click and drag to select it, and you can go up and change the size up in your character palette up here. I'm going to do something that's a little faster. I'm going to grab my whole tagline, which includes the rectangle box behind it, and I'm going to hit Command T for transform. I'm just going to grab the side of this bounding box, and you can see the double arrow pop up, and I'm going to hit Option Shift, and this is going to shrink it down so it's the same size all the way around. And I'm liking that, so I'm going to stop there, click on my move tool, hit apply, and I am liking that. Let's see, what I could do here is just center this. So I'm going to hit Command T just so I can see that box, and then I'm going to arrow over just to center it with my center line and apply. Okay, my cake shop logo is a little bit hidden here, so I'm thinking what I can do, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to transform this and shrink it down the same exact way. So I hit Command T, and then I'm going to hit Option Shift, grab the corner, and just pull it, or drag it, I'm sorry, and just drag it to get the size I want. Hit my move tool and hit apply, and I'm going to arrow up a little bit just to get that to fit. Okay, so now I'm thinking the tagline is covering up the cake, and I'm not liking that. So I'm going to grab the tagline layer, I'm going to scoot that over to the left, and I do like that. However, I think I might like the logo now over this way a little bit, so it's closer to the center of this, and I think that's looking good. So you can kind of see the big picture here, what's going to show up on TV, and obviously this little part is what's going to show up on your desktop and mobile and tablet version. So if you zoom in here, you can see the pixel sizes of these, and it gives you an example there. To zoom in, you just grab the zoom tool, and to zoom out, you would just hit Option or Control, I believe. Let's see, on a PC. So Option, and then just click, and it'll zoom out. All right, I'm liking this. So what we're gonna do now is just save it to export it, save it to get ready for YouTube so we can upload it to YouTube. So basically I need to get rid of this template behind it. And all you need to do is go down to the template layer that was on here originally, click the eyeball, and that'll get rid of it. So this should be just perfectly sized now for YouTube. I'm going to hit save once again to save that final Photoshop file. And then I'm going to, excuse me, save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I want to save this as a JPEG because that's how we're going to put it into YouTube. Right here, it's showing me the file size, 273 kilobytes. That should be perfect for loading quickly on the web. So I would say anything, you know, from 500 kilobytes on down would be good. And it's high quality, so it should show up just great. I'm gonna hit OK. All right, let's go head over to YouTube. I'm gonna try uploading this to my own account and see if it's looking good here. So let's go to my YouTube channel, and I'm just gonna click on it. Oops, click out of that. Go to my channel, and then you should see this picture icon as you hover over your cover area. So I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna select a photo from my computer, the one that we just created. Let's see, my cake cover art file, or you can just drag it there too if that's easier for you. Awesome, so this is looking good. I'm seeing it on every version. It's looking really good. As soon as we upload this, we'll see, you know, how good the quality is. Sometimes they can be blurry, but we'll see if this works. You can also adjust the crop on here too if you need to, but we have this kind of perfectly already set up, so we shouldn't need to do that. I'm gonna hit select, and awesome. Now you have your branded custom YouTube cover, and it's looking really good. You can kind of shrink it down to see how it would look like on a tablet or mobile view. My arrow key is not working for me here. But anyway, this is looking good, and hopefully that gives you a little insight into how to use Photoshop to do that. But if you have any questions, comment below, and good luck creating your custom YouTube cover.